What's up, Team Diesel? Thanks for tuning in with me today. Today, we're just going to cover the topic of sleep. Probably one of the most important things that we can do for the health of our bodies to improve our recovery scores, to improve our overall life, is to improve how we sleep. It is a skill. I think some people assume they sleep good or bad or this, and that's just how it is. But no, there's definitely a way to improve your abilities to sleep better, more restoratively. And then overall, you're just going to have the ability to produce higher outputs of production, better energy, better overall feeling, better immune system function so we don't get sick as often. It's just a lot of good things that can come from it. So, kind of just to give you some educational background on what's going on, what you're going to see on your Whoop. Every day when you wake up, you should be able to open up your screen and make sure your sleep is great. You can always edit it in the top right, but at the end of the day, that's the most important thing because all of our recovery scores are coming off the phases of sleep. So basically, that's when you're getting all your readings. That's why you'll wake up and you'll have, already have a little bit of strain because that's really when it's taking a lot of the data. It's consistent. It's one of the better ways to do it. So that's why the biggest thing we want to do is wake up each day and make sure our sleep's good. It usually auto detects, but if you get up a couple times, it might be a little off, but just adjust it, all right? Because that's a big part of it. And all the numbers kind of get shot from there. So first thing, if you wake up and you see it, you'll see that sleep menu, and then you'll see some stages of sleep. So there's a few stages of sleep that you go through each night. So it starts with awake, and then you'll go into a light phase, then you'll go to deep, then you'll go to REM. And then you'll repeat that, and you'll do you'll try to get through 3 to 5 plus stages of sleep throughout that time. That's why most people are saying that, it takes almost 7-8 hours to get through those 5 cycles. So that's why if you're sleeping less than 7 hours, you're already putting yourself at a disposition. So what are all these phases, all right? So the awake and the light, that's basically as you're winding down, you're getting it. So you're not always going to sleep 100% efficiency. I think really if you're above 90%, you're doing great, and you can always improve that efficiency. I have a little lower efficiency at times when I get a little bit, I don't manage my time well. I get my thoughts going a little bit too much. So maybe I have to add some more mindfulness, add some more breathing exercises throughout the day to kind of calm the body so that when I do go to sleep, I'm not racing around, in my head. But light sleep, if you're looking at percentages, light sleep is really going to be almost 50% of your sleep. So going into that, you're going to see like deep sleep. So deep sleep is our physical repair. That's where they say that 95% of your HGH is being released. For both male and female, that is huge. If you're training hard or if you're just living life, you got to repair the body every day. So if you're not being able to get into that deep sleep, you're going to have some, you're just not going to be producing as much output. You're going to eventually be fatigued and wind down. Eventually your hormones kind of get out of position, and that's when we start to maybe put on weight, lose energy, lose the desire to be great. But our deep phases, they say roughly 23% of our overall sleep should be in deep. So if we're looking at, sleeping 7-8 hours, maybe you're looking at 1 hour to 2 hours of deep sleep, depending on your age, your fitness level, and things like that. But there are a lot of factors into it, deep sleep, but super important, especially for, a lot of athletes that want to continue performance-wise, or really just anyone looking to put on lean muscle mass, like very important. But it's also very important for daily function. So don't think that you don't want it. You want it. You want that deep sleep. It's basically that fuel in the body. So if you're going into awake to light to deep, all right, then your next phase would be REM. And the REM is the last phase. That's why they say if you have shortened sleep cycles, you're not sleeping 7+ hours, then you're really never getting enough REM sleep, which is detrimental to our brains, which is everything in life. They repair the cognitive abilities to our daily function. It's when we store our short-term to long-term memories. So it's funny to see that a lot of our college athletes are, I got a big test, and they stay up all night and they get 0 REM. It's like, wow, I don't know if that's the best move. But even look at our businessmen, our corporate people, our athletes. It's like, man, you got to sleep to store that stuff. So it's like, manage your time better, and really big things can happen. But you can see that REM should be roughly 22-ish% of your sleep too. So maybe again, we're looking at similar hour, 2 hours plus, but you'll see sometimes if you're in a sleep deprivation, you're not getting enough sleep consistently, you'll start to see, these stages will kind of flip, and you'll start to see right when you fall asleep, where usually you go into light for maybe less than 10 minutes and right into deep, you're going to bounce right into REM. So it's kind of a way we can look at it and be like, oh, if he's jumping right into REM, that means that body is seeking more repair from the cognitive stuff. And it really kind of gives us the ability to be like, hey, we really got to prioritize sleep. Because if you don't sleep well, all these hormones, deep and REM, those are hormone responses. It tells us what's going on from the inside out. all the work, all the training, all the different things you're doing to get better, lose weight, get performance-wise, it's just not going to work as well. So it's like, it's a huge factor. If you're not sleeping enough, man, that's like number one. Then improve that, and you're going to lose body fat. You're going to look better. You're going to feel better. You're going to gain the ability to have strong immune system. So very important. So just to kind of give you a little brief rundown on that, that's what you're kind of looking for. So overall, it's like, hey, wake up every day. If you have less than an hour of deep, it's like, it's not bad, but it means that, hey, man, we could improve that. Improving deep and REM, a lot of it goes into balancing out your mind. For the REM is up here. So it's like a lot of times we can add more breathing throughout the day, maybe 5-10 minutes where you go for a walk and just focus on breathing, get some sunlight. Maybe it's some meditation practices. Maybe it's some yoga flows later at night. There's a lot of different tactics you can do. Maybe it's a warm shower 90 minutes before bed or a bath, but a lot of things that kind of just shut that thing off, all right? Our deep sleep is one of those things as well. Maybe we have to train more consistently with our resistance training. Maybe we have to do a good job of basically not eating too much right before bed, because deep sleep is one of those things. It's quick. It happens pretty quick in the day. If you're getting your normal sleep, you'll see that deep sleep will probably be at the first half of that night's sleep. So, a lot of times you might get a lot of deep up front, and then maybe a little bit on sleep 2, and maybe on sleep cycle 3, and then you're out. Then it goes into kind of just light to REM, all right? So that's kind of what's cool, is you can kind of track it, and eventually we'll teach you kind of how to understand and see what each one of those things kind of meaning. But more on the REM and deep, just touching on it today. Sleep performance, just some things, numbers you're going to see on the Whoop. Sleep performance, it's your sleep hours versus your sleep needs, all right? It's a really important one. We always try to say, hey man, let's try to get 85% of our sleep need a week, and I think that's going to give us the ability to recover well, train hard, and be as productive as we can in anything that we're trying to get better in. Life, work, whatever, being a super dad, mom, whatever it is you want to be, that's an important one. And basically they take your needs and hours from the baseline, your baseline of what you do, your age, everything that kind of computes. It's a 24/7 reading, guys. So this thing's always taking it in, always kind of adjusting what you need, which is sweet. Then it's taking strain, sleep debt. So if like today, maybe I didn't get all my sleep today. So, I'm going to have a little sleep debt going into it. So maybe my baseline is 7 hours and 30 minutes from my strain that I get daily, all the computes and metrics it uses. And then it's like, hey man, you didn't get 45 minutes, so now I need 8 hours and 40 minutes. So it just kind of gives you parameters. So if you didn't get that sleep today, well, you'll be fine. You'll be able to stimulate, go after it, still do well. But maybe that night coming in tonight, I'm going to really make sure that I sleep better and sleep longer and have that time. So maybe I manage my time a little better going into bed. I really kind of, put my day around, hey, I need to make sure I sleep, because tomorrow, if I have another low sleep, well, I'm just going to keep going like this. Next thing you know, I don't hit my performance goals. I don't feel as well. I'm not as energized. I'm not as productive in life. So that's how you can just be like, hey, lower sleep today, cool, I'll do a better job and get better sleep next time. So that's kind of just some basics there. A couple things we'll end on here is just some simple things to kind of think. Alcohol equals bad sleep, absolutely. At the end of the day, that's one thing you're going to see on that Whoop, is when you do have some alcohol, over 1 to 2 drinks, you usually start to see your HRVs are going to plummet, your resting heart rate's going to go up, because the body's basically has to work to digest that alcohol out of the body when you sleep. Therefore, you're not going to get as much REM or deep, so your restorative sleep goes down. So you can see pretty quick, like that couple drinks a night might be smashing you, and you don't even know it. Like, oh, I don't get any sort of feeling. It's like, well, it's fine, but you're also putting a bunch of sugars, a bunch of different things that are poison to the body, and then the body's not able to repair itself from that day. So that's how you can see, like, it's probably not helping you sleep. People are always like, oh, alcohol helps you sleep. No, it doesn't. Studies are saying you're going to see a lot of your recovery scores are going to tank when you do have alcohol. It doesn't mean you don't want to do it. It's up to you. All that's your hobbies, your activities. We're just going to educate you on what it actually is doing for you, and maybe then you can understand, like, hey, if you have a huge day tomorrow, maybe those couple drinks aren't worth it. All right, maybe if you want to celebrate something, cool. We understand that type of thing, but we just want to educate you on what's going on. So alcohol does affect a lot of those. Restorative sleep's going to go down. Your mood's going to go down. You're not going to feel as well. And obviously, some of the other effects. So it's a big one. You can't run from it. Usually it's like, it's going to come, and maybe a red alert on the recovery score. Sleep deprivation, again, some of the similar factors you see. You're just at your reaction time. If you're performance-wise, if you're a performance player, an elite level athlete, man, our reaction time goes down. Our focus goes down. Our patience goes down. I feel the patient thing. Me and my wife usually, we don't really argue that much, but periodically if we do, we're both in red, all right? And we're both probably sleep deprived. So it's pretty funny to start to see that. Your body's more predictable than you may think. A lot of times we might lose our appetite control. A lot of times when we're sleep deprived, we just have bad choices there's some leptin and some certain things that are basically released when you're sleep deprived that makes us more hungry often, all right? So a little sneaky way, we don't want to get that in there. But there's a lot more on that. Our anxiety usually goes up, all right? And our depression usually goes down because our thoughts are kind of all over the place. But when you slept well, everything's kind of calmer. It's a peaceful place and you can kind of control what you're doing. But a lot of times when you're sleep deprived, the body's just a little more all over the place. So let's just end with a little tips to get better at sleeping. We're gonna focus our attention on the environment, all right? So if you're sleeping in your bedroom, you should only sleep in your bedroom. Don't watch TV, don't bring your work in there, don't bring your laptop, don't bring anything, tablets, don't bring anything in there, even your phone. Like, I'll have my phone in there, you know, maybe if I'm doing some breathing, meditation stuff that's on it, but then I'll put it in the bathroom, all right? And that'll be the end of it, and I'll read before bed, and that will kind of channel my focus on the reading, and then eventually I'll get tired of that, and I'll be out. But we want a dark room, completely dark. I wear a little mask. You can buy one on Amazon for $5-10. It works wonders. But again, complete dark. Dark releases melatonin and senses the body. So it's like, hey, darkness is here, melatonin is released, I fall asleep. All right. And then you can see if you have electronics. I'm watching TV, no melatonin being released because you got all this blue light going in. So big thing with electronics, don't let it in your room. Try not to watch TV within an hour before bed or any sort of things on your screen. I know we're human, but again, try not to. And if you need to, blue light blocking glasses, another cheap investment that takes, you know, it really does help. It blocks the blue light from the screens, all the different lighting that we have, which again, when you block the blue light, it blocks it from going in the body. The mind thinks blue light means awake, all right? So that's why melatonin puts you to sleep. Blue light wakes you up. So we don't want blue light from all of our screens. So that's why if you're watching it right before bed, not great, all right? Because you're not gonna be able to get into these deep restorative phases. You're not gonna be able to sleep well. Your sleep efficiency will go down. Temperature of the room is important. I always fight with my wife a little bit, like, hey man, I need this thing frosty. It's like a cave in here. I like 67 and below. That's where scientists say we fall into our best states of sleep. But again, sometimes I have to, you know, meet in the middle at 69 to 70. But again, when you have the control of it and you can, a cooler temperatured room is going to put you into a better sleep and keep you sleeping longer. Our sleep disturbances, which usually you're going to see 10 to 20 sleep disturbances a night on average. Maybe you'll have lower, which is better, but those will usually go down as well. We've all slept with no air conditioner when it's hot. It's not great. All right. And at the end of the day, you know, we can improve a lot of these things by just creating these daily game plans, these wind down activities where we're actually going to be like, hey, an hour before bed, I'm going to start to wind down. I'm going to take my electronics out. I'm going to start to, you know, maybe I'll play with my dogs. Maybe I'll put my kids to sleep. Maybe I'll talk to my wife. Maybe I'll hang out. But at the end of the day, you're winding down from the day. We're not thinking about work. We're not thinking about what we did last week. It's like, hey, the day's been great. We've successfully crushed it. Let's take ourselves into a chiller place. A lot of times, 30 minutes before bed, I'll do a little meditation, 10-minute breathing activity. There's Headspace app, there's Calm app. There's a lot of apps out there that are very basic, but very good. And then, like I said, after that, I'll brush my teeth, I'll do these things, and then I'll wind down, read a little bit for 10 to 15 minutes. I got a red light therapy that I'll have in my background that kind of, again, takes the blue light away. So more on that, but I think it's a pretty nice thing in which eventually we'll help build these game plans, we'll help build these routines. But it starts with understanding how we're sleeping, and the data is super important. So overall, if you can do one thing really well, sleep great. Most of the time, if we have athletes or individuals that sleep well, man, the rest of their life goes pretty well, and we can tinker with the training, the nutrition, and the other things to really enhance everything. So overall, this was just our intro to sleep. So when in doubt, sleep well. Be smart with what we're doing before we sleep. And at the end of the day, you can see you can work wonders by just sleeping well. So go after it, go get it, sleep tight.